Okay, I am talking about Python for machine learning in this video. So this is the part of one of the course that uh, we are working at QC Finance. So uh, Graph Lab is one of the trending machine learning tools. I'm going to go through how to install it and how to use it and how we can use it for some applications in finance, how we would think about that. So I am using GraphLab on Jupyter. I installed Anaconda. So I first installed Anaconda Python. Then I installed the GraphLab library. So when I installed Anaconda, I got IPython, and to run GraphLab from IPython, all you have to do is write IPython uh, space I think workbook, yeah, notebook. So IPython space notebook, and the Jupyter would start. So starting Jupyter IPython notebooks. On command prompt, if you write that, it would start, and then this window would open. So the first step is installing Anaconda, and then you can find IPython on your system. After that, you can use pip install to install GraphLab. Once you do that, if you write and Jupyter also get installed, if you like IPython, this screen would open, and then you can import GraphLab. Now I was using some of the other Python compilers, so I was using Sublime and one more, forgot the name. So but this is also interesting because all the output is saved of whatever you do. So sometimes I find that I don't have the output saved with me, and we can save everything as an HTML and keep with us. Okay, so when I say import GraphLab, it would get imported. I'm importing some data of users. Now everything in GraphLab is like S frame, so everything is in term of S frames. Whatever I bring in comes into this S frame. It's very similar to the data frames in Python. When it gets inside, then you can see some basic count that are also performed by user.show. So user is that S frame and .show is the command. You can also calculate the average and other statistics, which is very similar as Panda data frames. Uh, you can then also bring other files inside. So here I am trying to do a matrix factorization. So matrix factorization, it's uh, it's a way to find out what the user is going to buy into the future. So it will try to fit you in a category and predict what you are going to buy. You can go ahead and check some of the examples of this. It was used in a Netflix competition. So Netflix competition had something where they were trying to predict which movie you are going to watch. So suppose they have this on one axis all the movies, and on the other axis they will have all the users. So if you have users, and here you have movies, and now if you watch, or rather these are not movies, these are like genre. So this is like horror, This is like romance and whatever. And now you don't know which movies do people who watch more horror movies watch. So suppose this is um, my taste, and there are other taste, and you have this matrix, and you have some missing data. So based on that, you can give me a suggestion. Now, if somebody does not watch a particular kind of a movie, uh, we can give him that kind of a suggestion or find out what would be good for him. Actually, this is not a very good example, but it's more suitable in Amazon, where you can find out what kind of stuff somebody would buy. So this was an example of matrix factorization which I started to search into, and in Python this was done in the best way, uh, using uh, the GraphLab library. So moving back to this library, I pulled the data. We can do some basic joins. We can create graphs of the data that we have pulled in. Uh, and we can also create page rank, because this comes from an idea where you would use it for the websites. Now to create the graph and to do the calculation, matrix factorization, you need to uh, get a few things. Those things are like a rating, an item, and a user. So those are the three terminologies or the ideas that they use. Most of it is into predicting the rating of a movie or a rating of something on Amazon or something like that. So you bring table, and you bring them into these names, because when you're creating this frame, you need to make sure that the columns of these S S frames are going into exactly the same. So the user ID would be this, and then you can use factorization, and you can say that you want to predict rating uh, for that, and you can run it. It will do some calculations, and I'll show you one big place. This is about dividing data into training and test data to calculate the efficiency. uh, okay, here it is. So So when I bring this thing into the review, then I rename them into the naming which is better understood in SVIM, which is user, item, and rating, because ultimately we want to predict the rating. Uh, and then when we have the rating, we can train the data, and then after training the data, we can compare it with the test data to find out how good or bad it was working. So that was in a very quick way of what we are doing now. Uh, the matrix recommendation would work something like this, and they have given this example on their website. They say that we have user ID rating. Now, when you see carefully, you have a less user on these items. Sometimes the item is missing, sometimes the user is missing. So this would help you predict if we have user 1 who would also go in for C, what will he rate based on the rating some other kind of a people gave it. It's similar to regression, because regression is also matrix inversion if you were to visualize. But yes, you are using the same term, like minimizing the error and things like that. And likewise, if you have all the users, then you don't have all the items. You don't have an item A here. So if user 2 sometimes want to use item A, how would he rate item A? So you can find out what he's going to rate if he use that. And then they have given some mathematical way. I think most of that is matrix inversion. I did not went deep into that. I found a course on Coursera which is quite expensive, but it talks about all the data products. So it talks about regression, then it talks about classification, uh, and then it talks about clustering and retrieval. The easiest is k-mean clustering. and there are other clustering as well. Um, Machine learning and systems and dimensionality reduction. This is what I was talking, but we were looking at more into the matrix factorization. So uh, I think it's here. Matrix factorization. This is kind of a last thing uh, to do and deploy these as a recommender system. So this is like the last part of that machine learning course. Okay. Uh, so this is what we are trying to do now. There are some open fields on how we would use it in terms of more fancy applications, uh, and whether we can get a particular dimensional reduction, and find out a better way to find out how pairs are working, or groups are working, and what would happen to them. So that was one way to check it. So that was it about the graph lab and how I installed it. I hope you found it useful. If you are trying to do some analysis and stuck somewhere or have some ideas, feel free to get in touch.